What nonsense is this? Welcome back to watching nonsense unfold. This is a review of the movie The Rip. I was going to call it a mid-budget crime thriller starring Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, but it's not. From what I've read, this thing cost around $100 million. How the hell did this thing cost $100 million? Good grief, that's insane. That's a lot of money. What exactly did they spend $100 million on? Why was the budget so high? Does this include marketing the movie? But I digress. I apologise. Anyway, on paper, this should work. Two actors who work well together, a contained crime story, moral pressure, trust issues. So the real question is, does it work? This review contains spoilers. Let's summarise this movie. What's this movie about? Two cops working for the tactical narcotics team discover $20 million in cash at a stash house. From there, things slowly spiral as members of the team start asking a very simple question. Who can you trust? What works? Let's start with the positives. It's genuinely good to see Matt Damon and Ben Affleck on screen together again. They have an easy, believable chemistry. Good Will Hunting and Dogma immediately come to mind. Two amazing films. Their dynamic is the film's biggest strength. When the dialogue sharpens and the conversations turn tense, you can feel the history between them, especially once trust becomes the central issue. There's also a decent amount of atmosphere early on. You're never entirely sure who's telling the truth. At one point, I suspected Matt Damon's character Dana, but that would have been too obvious, particularly after he confiscates the team's phones at the stash house. There's some strong banter throughout, and one standout moment for me is when we learn that Dana already explained his plan to Ben Affleck's character JD. That small reveal works. This is very much a character-driven film, not an explosion-heavy one, and in principle, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Unfortunately, that's also where the cracks start to show. What doesn't work? Let's talk about the characters, especially the supporting ones. The film opens with a woman speeding through traffic while talking on the phone. There's voiceover, there's urgency. Then she's murdered. And the problem is simple. We don't know who she is. Why should we care? We have no context for her importance or her connection to anyone. The film asks for emotional weight it hasn't earned. This issue carries through to much of the supporting cast. There are simply too many characters and not enough time spent with them. Take Detective Mike Rowe and DEA agent Mateo, who we later learn were involved in killing Captain Jackie Velez. Who are they really? What motivates them to turn dirty? Why do they cross that line? The film doesn't really explore this. It just drops the revelation and moves on. The same applies to Jackie Velez herself. She exists mostly in flashbacks, which isn't enough for her role in the story. The dirty cops angle feels forced, as if it was added because the genre demands it, rather than because the story naturally led there. Genre-wise, this is a very familiar territory. Good cops versus dirty cops, outmaneuvering each other. Loyalty under pressure. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but The Rip doesn't bring anything new to the table. Structurally, the pacing is an issue. Because it's so dialogue heavy, it takes nearly an hour before anything truly engaging happens. Then another long stretch before momentum returns. Scenes linger too long, conversations pile up, tension stalls instead of escalating. For a character-driven thriller, it's surprisingly sluggish. There is something here. It's worth watching just to see Damon and Affleck spar with each other. That part totally works. But with fewer characters and more time spent developing people like Mike Rowe, Mateo and Jackie Velez, the story could have been far, far stronger. The themes are solid: friendship, loyalty, and above all, trust. Trust is the number one theme here. Even the title works on a symbolic level. The Rip doesn't just refer to the stash of money, it represents the fracture in relationships, morality, and professional ethics. Ultimately, The Rip is reasonably competent, watchable, and occasionally effective, even if the story becomes convoluted at times. It never quite elevates itself beyond familiar territory. Not a standout film, but better than a lot of nonsense out there. This has been watching nonsense unfold. Sometimes it really is nonsense, And sometimes it's just disappointing, or is it?